I'm joined now by Congressman Bill Johnson, a Republican from Ohio. Thank you so much. Good morning to you, Representative Johnson. You sit on the House Committee on Energy and Commerce. No matter who's to blame for these high prices, what do you believe is the solution right now to help ease the pain at the pump?
Oh, my God, put America's energy back in play. All we've got to do is remove the pause or remove the ban that the Biden administration has placed on production and development on public lands, and streamline the permitting process so we can transport that vital resource to refineries around the country. We can put American energy back into play, and that will have a very, very positive impact, not only on the price of gas at the pumps, but inflation in general, the price of groceries on the shelves as well.
It seems to be something that Democrats have not bought into. And we're going to talk a little bit more about your colleague's response from across the aisle in just a second. But first, you've called for an investigation into Russia interfering in energy policy in the U.S. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. There's compelling evidence based on a science, space, and technology study that was done, investigation that was done back in 2017, that the Russians invested millions in convincing European countries, Western countries, to stop hydraulic fracturing, stop harvesting their fossil fuel resources. And there's compelling evidence that that same tactic was used here in the United States. I want to find out, my colleagues want to find out, and I think the American people need to know, have the Russians been fueling the environmental zealots that want America to ban fossil fuels that the administration has actually bought into now?
Yeah, and we did talk about what the Democratic and Republican response is to how we can ease prices. We just mentioned that poll. Our business correspondent Marley Caden had that poll on more people blaming not only Putin but big oil companies. But you believe that criticism of big oil is misplaced. Why?
Well, I do because fossil fuels have lifted more people out of poverty around the globe than any other fuel source on the planet. In fact, over 90% of the world's energy today comes from fossil fuels. And yet our president, in our country, you have those decision makers that want us to stop producing altogether. We're 1.5 million barrels of oil a day off from our peak level in 2019, just a couple of years ago when we were energy independent. That's because of policy. That's not because our producers don't know how to produce.
But there is a lot of talk from Democrats saying that the oil companies, are not releasing enough oil. What is your response to that?
I don't think that that's accurate. I would have major questions about that. I've talked extensively to these oil and gas executives. As you heard one of them mention just a few minutes ago, they don't control the global price of oil. I mean, if that were the case, with oil exceeding oftentimes more than $100 a barrel, why would they not sell their oil? Why would they not release that oil on the global market when the price is so high, when they stand to benefit the most? That makes no sense. That's not good business sense if that's what they're doing. I don't believe that's accurate. I think this has everything to do with bad Biden policies.
One more question for you. The war in Ukraine, obviously, civilian deaths have gone up. There's a new Russian war chief on the ground. What do you believe America's next smart move will be in supporting Ukraine?
Well, I hope it's to get the Ukrainians what they need to defend themselves, whether it's the surface-to-air missiles, the drones, jet fighters. You know, the Ukrainian people have been doing just a tremendous job. In fact, I would go so far as to say the Ukrainians have been beating the Russians on the ground. Were it not for the air assault, it would be a very, very different outcome in Ukraine right now. And I think we need to do everything we can in collaboration with our NATO allies to get the Ukrainian people the weapons that they need to defend themselves.
Including fighter jets, including MiG.
Absolutely.
Congressman Johnson, thank you again for being with us. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. Well, breaking news overnight in the business world. Elon Musk will not be joining Twitter's board of directors after all. The company's CEO making the announcement following. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.